My name is L. Stephen Taylor, and I play Mufasa, and I joined The Lion King in 2005. I've been doing the show for 20 years, and there are a lot of company members in our show who have been in the show longer than I have, or for just multiple years. It really is just a building that's full of family. So I grew up in Indianapolis. Theater was not something that you really pursued as a profession, at least not where the part of Indianapolis where I grew up. It was something that I always wanted to do, but didn't really see a path to do it professionally. I don't think that there was ever a really specific moment where I was like, I'm going to go and do this, like other people have had. The thing that did happen is I had a lot of people along the way, along my career, who said, I see something in you and I think that you should. I see something in you and so I'm going to show you what I know. I see something in you and so I'm going to present you with this opportunity. And all those I see something in you led me to where I am. I just like the vibe of Queens. So I lived in 2 places in Astoria. I've been in this place for almost 9 years, and it's just like, it's my little home away from the city. You come here to chase your dreams, you know what I mean? And I think that just knowing that the majority of the people who are in New York, even if you're visiting, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a lot of people's dreams to just visit here, to be, in the midst of the lights and the hustle and the bustle. And then you have, obviously, people moving here to perform, but it's just like you move here to make your dreams come true. What my day looks like is I generally will go to the gym first thing in my morning, which is about probably like 11 o'clock. And then after that, it just depends on what the day looks like. If there's if there's a self-tape that I need to record, I've been doing a lot of, recently been doing a lot of press for my book, some writing and some reading. And then generally I'll have some lunch with my son. And then go to the theater. I had stopped by my Dunkin' on the way to the theater, and then head on the train, listen to some tunes, and then I'm at the theater in the makeup chair. This is my book, Sammy and His Lion. I wrote this book kind of to mark my 20th anniversary with the Lion King, which happened last year. I just kind of looked back over my career and just all the things that kind of went into my experience with the show. So it all came out in this book called Sammy and His Lion, and Sammy is this 6-year-old boy who, in this particular book, he's having his some anxiety over his first day of school. And his dad teaches him the secret tradition of how to channel his inner lion as a metaphor for overcoming obstacles, any kind of obstacles that he might face, not unlike Simba in our show. So all of the things that I've experienced with this show and my 20-year journey with the show has kind of gone into this book to hopefully help kids overcome and have the courage to kind of overcome anything that they might be facing. So this is my beautiful wife, Holly Ann Butler. Actually, we met doing Broadway Bears. We were the top 2 fundraisers of that year, and I beat her. And we had like a little friendly rivalry going around in the fundraising competition, and we said that whoever won would take the other one out for breakfast, and so we did, and we had breakfast after that, and it was almost immediate. So we've been together for a little over 9 years now. She is currently on tour with Beauty and the Beast. She plays Madame, and she'll be home in June. I found out that I got the show when I was doing a production of Miss Saigon at the Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle, and we were on our lunch break. And I got a call from Mark Brandon at Bender Casting, and he asked me if I was ready to make my Broadway debut. It has been a series of, are you sure you want me to do this? It's been a series of asking myself that question. Can you really fill those shoes? Do you really want that responsibility? are you ready for that responsibility? It's just a mixed bag of emotions. It's a call that that I'll never forget. One of my favorite things to do is do the stage door. I love just being out there to hear hear how the show impacts people. And there was one time that I went out to the stage door, there was this group of young girls and they started chanting, elves, 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 elves. And I was like, y'all don't look like elves. Like, what are you talking about? And they were like, no, we're elves. We're fans of L. Stephen Taylor. And I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. And all at once, it just kind of, put some stuff into perspective. But just knowing that my performance impacts people enough to, do something silly like that, or be inspired to just kind of tell me that my performance or my portrayal of this character has done something to them, that was kind of an iconic moment. And I was like, and then there's a moment where it's like I walk out into the breezeway and somebody asks me to take their picture of them and not knowing who they're talking to. So, humbled. Playing the role of Mufasa for me has definitely changed over time. I was a young dad. My son was 3 years old when I joined the show. He's 24 now. There was this insecure excitement I approached the show and the character of Mufasa with when I first started. It was about, how am I going to step into this role for me? Now it's about, how do I show up for other people every day, which is something that I've learned about the character of Mufasa and how this character interacts with other characters. It's something that I've enjoyed finding for myself. I think that is a thing that is constantly evolving, is trying to figure out how to show up for people every day. I mean, how do you describe what your part is in a show that is this big? I feel like I'm just a small piece of the puzzle. I feel like I'll be an old man sitting on my couch before I come to understand exactly what my contributions to the show have led to. I know that is something that I've led with, is trying to just leave the company better than how I found it. If anything that I contribute to the show impacts other people in the way that the show has impacted me, then I feel like that's enough. Yeah, why am I crying? I don't want that to happen. I just want people to look back and say, L. Steven made the show better.